Um, Welcome to the second episode of our webinar series, Pages of Growth by Timebox. I'm Riddhi Gala, the founder of Timebox. फिलहाल थोड़ा टेंस्ड माहौल है पैंडेमिक सिचुएशन को देख के, तो ऐसे माहौल में आशा का दीप जलाने वाली किशोर कुमार जी की गाई हुई दो पंक्तियां सुनाना चाहूंगी। कभी सुख कभी दुख, यही जिंदगी है, ये पतझड़ का मौसम घड़ी दो घड़ी है, ये पतझड़ का मौसम घड़ी दो घड़ी है, नए फूल कल फिर डगर में खिलेंगे, उदासी भरे दिन कभी तो ढलेंगे, कहाँ तक ये मन को अंधेरे चलेंगे, उदासी भरे दिन कभी तो ढलेंगे. Yes, that is true, right? Like, we're all facing a tough time because of this pandemic situation, but there is a rainbow of hope at the end of every storm, and I'm pretty sure we'll see the rainbow pretty soon, right? Um, let us start with our session on boost your brain. With the lockdown since the past few months, our work has slowed down. We have been less active than usual, right? Um, that's that's leading to lesser brain activity. हमारे brain को इतनी exercise नहीं मिल रही है, right? But with things slowly going back on track, let us get our brain functions just not back to normal, but to never before achieved levels. Let us unlock the potential of our brain. And for that, we have with us a very special guest all the way from Dubai, Dr. Upasana Gala, CEO and founder of Evolve Brain Training. Earning a doctorate in neuroscience from Baylor College of Medicine, Dr. Gala has spent over a decade unraveling the mysteries of the human brain. Her goal is to share this knowledge that she has gained and help people to maximize their brain's potential. Hi, Dr. Gala, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me on your show, Riddhi.
So can you tell us a little more about your journey and why did you choose, to study the brain?
Well, ever since I was a little girl, I've always been fascinated by science. And my favorite cartoon was Dexter's Lab. So this world has always fascinated me. And when I was 17, I grew up in India, in Bombay. When I was 17, I moved to the US to get my undergraduate in genetics and neuroscience. And that's when I really got into the brain science part of it. And I absolutely fell in love with all of my neuroscience classes, and with the human brain. And so then I decided to get my PhD in neuroscience. And then I came back to Dubai, and I wanted to continue working with something to do with my favorite organ. And that's why I decided to start this company, Evolve Brain Training, where I help people maximize their brain's potential so they can be their best selves.
That's interesting. So what is it about the brain that excites you the most?
Well, it is only 2% of our body weight. It's a tiny little organ, but it is responsible for everything that we think, we feel, we do. Everything that you're doing, everything that you're thinking, everything that you're feeling, all of that is coming from your brain. And that means that everything that you want to change also is coming from your brain. So it's this weapon of change and the future. And I just love everything. It's so complex, and we know so little. And what other organ to work on than something that we know so little of, because there's so much more to discover.
That is so true. I'd just like to interrupt everyone. Y'all can, if y'all have questions, y'all can post them in the Q&A section, and we'll take them later as we progress towards the. Okay. I really so that is true. Like everything comes from the brain. Even like Aristotle has said that the essence, the energy of the brain or the mind is the essence of life. With everything coming from the brain, emotions also come from the brain. And right now, with this, COVID, there's fear and anxiety everywhere. So then, how to deal with this uncertainty or the fear of the unknown?
Yes, the unknown has always scared the human brain, because all of our anxiety and a lot of the stress, it generally comes from not being able to control our future or not being able to control our life. So this current situation is extremely stressful for the brain because there are so many uncertainties. You don't know if you are going to have a job or your salary or where your kids are going to go to school, all of this. So some of the tips I can give you to help deal with this uncertainty. The number one thing is, remember, you are here today. So if you're here today, that means you must have conquered everything else in your past to be here today. So there must have been situations in the past where you felt that, this is the worst, that you cannot get over it, but you got over it. And if you can get over that, then you can get over other things in your life too. We always underestimate our ability to cope with things, and we always overestimate the tragedy. So that is another thing. In our head, the situation is probably way worse than it actually is in real life, because we are thinking of all the possible options, and our brain loves to think about the worst case scenario, because that's how we have evolved, to escape danger. So we always think of the worst thing possible to make sure that we can save ourselves. But sometimes it helps to put down in writing all the things that you're afraid of, because when you actually put it down in writing, you might realize that the worst possible thing is actually not that bad, and there could be something you can do to fix it. So from all of these uncertainties and problems, if you write them down, you can now find out the things that are actually within your control. And once you find out the things that are in your control, then you can start working towards a solution for those things. So while it may not be under your control that you lost your job, but it is under your control. How much time are you going to spend networking with your people, or how much time are you going to spend building your resume, learning new skills so you can be a better hire next time, or all of these things that is in your control. So by writing things down, you turn things from worrying about things, which is ineffective, into active problem solving.
That's so
Uh,
true.
yeah,
And like you, they say that worry kills you more than the actual thing. So that's the thing, when we're worrying, बहुत सारी चीजें दिमाग में चल रही हैं, and then you're just tensed. But when you write them down, you will try to find the solutions to your problems. So that will help you, become a little more, maybe, calmer. So what can we do sitting at home to just calm ourselves down?
well, the number one thing is the easiest thing that we all are meant to do, anyways, which is breathing. So I know it sounds silly, but it really is important to breathe. And so by breathing, I mean calm breathing exercises or meditation, because we all live extremely hectic. It's not just stressful lives, but hectic lives. We're always taking short breaths. So it's important to take some time in your day, especially in these times. Take 15 minutes, even if it's just 15 minutes, to just calm your brain down, not have any thoughts in your brain. If there are thoughts come, that's fine, let them pass, but try to not information overload your brain. Take a break from social media, take a break from the news, take a break from all of these things, and let your brain just recover from all of this constant information. um, so that's one easy thing
That's
that I can tell people.
No, actually, even I have experienced this. Since like the last few months, I have started doing pranayam in the mornings, and I think that has, helped me, have a good day ahead. Also, it's a good start to the day. Also, so I think breathing, and I realize that I have, when you're normally breathing, it's not the correct way. So
Right.
I am now consciously trying
Observe.
to do
You
it
breathing is your task, so you actually have to observe what you're doing. It doesn't need to be something that you're doing passively. You need to do active breathing.
That's true.
Also, one other thing I do that really helps me calm down in these times, especially, is having a gratitude list, because there are so many things that are negative and wrong, not going right the way you want. Sometimes it can be easy to forget the things that are going right in your life and the things you are grateful for. So if you can end the day just before you go to sleep, just think of three things or even one thing that you're thankful for in your life, and go to sleep on that note. It really changes the way your brain thinks, and you end the day on a really nice note, and you end up being grateful for the things you have rather than worrying about the things you don't have.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think a gratitude list should help. You mentioned to stay away from social media a little. Can you like tell us how does social media affect the brain?
This is the problem of the ages, isn't it? So the reason, so what social media, so it's not just social media, it's like any device, right? We are not even happy with one device. A lot of the times we'll be watching something on the net on Netflix. At the same time, you'll be sending an email, and at the same time, you're texting your friend. I mean, we just cannot get enough devices, whether it's iPad, phone, all of this. What's happening is our brains are overstimulated. So they constantly need this level of stimulation now. And we have completely lost the ability to be bored, which sounds funny, but actually being bored is really, really important for your brain. Because when you take that, whether it's an hour a day or half an hour a day of break from social media, from information overload, from doing anything that's constantly, filling your brain with stuff, that's when your brain has the ability to wander. And when your brain wanders, that's when you can think, that's when you have your most creative ideas. That's when you can think of new ways of problem solving, or you will never be able to think outside the box if you're constantly filling yourself with ideas other people already have. So being bored and taking this time to be bored, allow your brain to experience boredom, is the way for you to experience your own creativity and come up with your own ideas. And apart from that, the biggest issue with social media is the notifications. So, that ding you get, and that makes you so excited, and you just want to pick up your phone and check who messaged you or who liked your picture post. That is the worst possible thing about social media. It's because every time you hear that ding, there's a little molecule in your brain called dopamine that gets released. Now, dopamine is your reward molecule. So it's going to be the molecule that whenever it sees a reward, it gets it, and it motivates you to go do more of that action to get more of that reward. So we get stuck in this loop. Oh, I got more likes, I want to post another picture. I got more likes, I want to see what else happens. Like this, you just get into this addictive loop. And that's what you want to avoid. So if you are using social media, at least the best thing you should do is turn off your notifications. So set aside a certain time in your day. Like you're going to check your notifications on the hour or every half an hour, rather than checking anytime you get a notification. Because that way you're not being a slave to your device. Every time it calls you, you'll go to it. Instead, you use the device to your advantage, and you call it only when you want it. That's one thing I tell people to do with their social media activity.
Wow. I mean, I didn't know social media can be so, addictive, or it can affect you so much. But yeah, this is how I do. Like whenever I get a notification, I end up checking my phone. But I think I'll resolve to, checking my phone only given
Yeah.
a.
And you can even put some of the most time-sucking apps into, instead of having them having Facebook or Instagram right on your homepage, put them inside a folder. So put all of these apps, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever takes your time the most, put it inside a folder and put it away from your home screen. So make it a little harder for you to, like, anytime you have few seconds, even if you're waiting at a light or waiting in line, we just go to our phone. Why? You don't need to do that. Take this time to observe your surroundings and activate your brain in new ways.
Don't you all agree? Yeah, I think I'll resolve to do that. Talking about resolutions, we always make resolutions like I want to, I'm going to go to the gym from tomorrow, or I'm going to go for a morning walk from tomorrow. But then you don't end up doing that. You don't end up following your resolutions. So how to train the brain to keep up to those resolutions?
Yes. So resolution is basically a new habit, right? You want to train your brain to learn a new habit. And for anything to become a habit, there is no easy way. So you have to do it multiple times before it becomes a habit. So any new habit comes because of a process called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of your brain to grow and learn and adapt to changes. So there are lots of different neurons in our brain, billions of neurons, and they all make different connections with each other. Now, every time you do a certain action or think a certain thought or say a certain thing, one pathway lights up. Every time you repeat this task or repeat this action, this pathway keeps getting strengthened and strengthened until one day it becomes habit. And then it's second nature for your brain. And then you don't need to put in any effort to do that action. So to get there usually takes 3 to 4 weeks for turning a new habit into a habit, from making it a difficult, effortful task into an effortless habit. So during this period, before it becomes a habit, there are some things you can do to make sure that it sticks, that you don't quit halfway. One of the ways is to use friction to your advantage. So this means if it is something that you want to give up, like you want to stop eating cookies, you're watching your weight, then add friction between you and the cookies. So put the cookies on the top shelf or move it away from you, make it hard to get to, or better yet, just throw it out of your house, So whatever the thing is that you're trying to not do, add as much friction between that and you as you can. And similarly, the other direction, if it is something you want to do, say if you want to start going to the gym in the morning, then try to reduce all other things, all other fiction that could stop you from doing that. So keep your clothes ready in the morning, keep your running shoes right next to your bed, so there is no excuse for your brain when it just gets up and you just have to go because everything is ready. So use friction to your advantage in whichever direction. The other thing you can do is you can make use of triggers. So triggers are something that you do that you enjoy doing, and you add it to the new activity you're trying to make into a habit. So say you want to, you're working on a project that you're not motivated to do, but there's a song you really like. So every time you start to work on your project, you play that song, your favorite song, and you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And the next time when you play that song, even though you don't really want to work on your project, your brain will make you work on the project, because now that trigger is attached to this habit that you want to create. So you can use triggers using the things you like to start a habit that is a little difficult in the beginning. Right. And finally,
that's interesting, because so the thing is, why we don't end up following our resolutions, because the brain is not used to it. So once we it will take time, so we have to train the brain to keep doing it every day, and then after a particular number of days, I think it'll get used to, and it'll know that it has to follow this rule. But so as you said about the trigger, so once it listens to that music, it knows that it has to work on the project. That's interesting.
You can always reward yourself, so don't forget the benefit of the reward. So the same dopamine, you can use it to your advantage every time you finish a task. So again, write your task down, whatever it is you need to do, whatever your habit is, write it down. Writing it down already creates something, a signal in your brain that, oh, this is something we need to do. And then second, every time you do it, you break it down into steps. Every time you finish a step, reward yourself. Every time you do it over for 1 week or 10 days or whatever your goal is, you reward yourself. You're rewarding yourself this way, again, gives another dopamine release to the brain, so it motivates you to continue doing that habit. So use all of these tricks and hacks to your advantage whenever you want to start a new habit.
So dopamine is not bad. Only if it, I think when we spoke about social media, you said that dopamine, if we keep getting again, it is not good. But I think it means that for not good things, it is not good.
is just a motivator. So if it is motivating you to do good things, that's good. If it's motivating you to do bad things, it's not good. But dopamine itself is not bad. It's a motivator molecule. So use it to your advantage. Use it to do the things you want to do, and don't use it to do the things. Don't use it to watch Netflix on hours on end. Use it to really need to do.
Yeah, I liked your point on the trigger. So if I want to go for exercise the next day, if my clothes are in the cupboard and my shoes are there in the shoe rack, the next morning I'll be like, oh, who's gonna take, kaun nikalega kapde, kaun shoes nikalega shoe rack se. But in the morning, if I have everything ready, I don't have an excuse, and then I will start doing it. So that is a good point, to keep things ready. So keep that friction ready out there. Talking about me wanting to start my morning exercises, we all know that exercise is good for the body. It helps you keep the body fit. But does it have any effect on the brain?
Yes, actually, I would go so far as to say that exercise has way more effect on your brain than it does on the body. The benefits of exercise are so many, but I'll just point out a few of them. So first of all, it increases the production of 3 really important neurotransmitters. The first one, you can all guess, is dopamine, which is the reward molecule, as we already talked about. The second is serotonin. So serotonin is your happy molecule. It is the same molecule that is present in antidepressants. And exercise is a natural way to increase the production of serotonin in your brain. And it increases the production of norepinephrine, which is the molecule that is important for you to focus and pay attention to the task at hand without getting distracted. So exercise gives an immediate and significant boost to all these 3 neurotransmitters at the same time. So what a great way to be motivated, to be happy, and to be focused. So it's a great, an easy way to start your day with just 20 minutes. And by exercise, I mean all kinds of exercise helps, but specifically aerobic exercises. So something that increases the blood flow and oxygen flow to your brain. So that's what is best recommended for the production of all these neurotransmitters. So if there's something, a project that you've been really procrastinating on, you're not feeling motivated, just go for a 20-minute run before you start this project, because at that moment, right after your run, you're going to have a high level of dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, making it more likely for you to stay motivated and focused to finish the task. Exercise does a lot of other things. It also increases the production of BDNF, which is a protein. It's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This protein is essentially a growth fertilizer for your brain. So what it does, it increases the production of new neurons in your brain, especially in a region of the brain called hippocampus. Now, the hippocampus is responsible for learning and memory. So more BDNF means a better and bigger hippocampus. Bigger hippocampus means better ability to learn. So you'll be able to learn things faster, pick up things faster, and a better memory. So you will be able to remember things more and for longer.
I didn't know exercise could have this impact. Yeah. I mean, I knew it could obviously help me have a fit body.
And it helps you sleep better, which of course is amazing for your brain. All the benefits of sleep we already know. And exercising regularly has improved, gives you improved quality of sleep.
So we know that sleep is an important factor for your mental and physical health, right? But how to sleep better, and is there a particular ideal number of hours that a person should be sleeping? A question someone asked the same thing: how many hours of sleep is good for the brain?
Yeah. So there is no magic number that is going to work for everybody. Generally, most adults need anywhere between 6 to 8 hours to sleep well, but everyone has their own number. So if you are sleeping 8 hours and you're still not feeling you still don't feel well rested, that is not your number. Some people can do very well with less than 6 hours, and some people absolutely need 9 hours to function efficiently and function well. So there is no magic number that works for everyone, but you need to find your own number, find what works for you, and then stick to it. And the number one devil of good sleep today is, I'm sure you've all heard it 100 times, but I'm going to say it again, is screen time before bedtime. You need to be completely away from all screens for at least 1 hour before you go to bed. And this means all the screens, not just your phone, even your TV or Netflix if you watch TV at night, laptop, whatever. Because the blue light that comes from these screens, it basically sends a signal to your brain, telling your brain to shut down the production of a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that is responsible to make you sleepy and drowsy as night comes on, so you fall asleep at the right time. But if you are stuck to your phone at 15 minutes before you're supposed to go to bed, your brain is thinking, oh wait, it's not time to go to bed, no need to make melatonin right now, we still need to be awake for longer. So that's what's happening in your brain. So you really have to have a very strict rule about no phones, no screens at all for at least an hour before you go to sleep if you want good quality of sleep. And in the same vein is having a completely dark room. It's the same idea, because any light, we were not evolved to have light at night. That's not how our brains have been evolved. So it's very difficult for our brain. It's very confusing for our brain. When it sees light, it just sends a signal that it's not time to sleep. So you need to make sure that you give your brain extra support and let your brain know that it is night and it's time to go to sleep.
So someone asked, what if you have a problem of sleeping? That is what it is. If you have a problem sleeping, one thing try doing is try reducing your screen time 1 hour before sleeping. This includes not watching your web series. Also try to have complete darkness, because the brain is used to, it feels that, okay, when there is light, I don't think it's time to sleep. So let there be complete darkness when you're trying to sleep. Okay, I'm pretty sure meditation also helps.
Of course, meditation helps, and sticking to a routine. So always go to sleep and wake up at the same time. If you're going to, a lot of people end up staying up much later on the weekends and then waking up late. That really messes up your entire circadian rhythm. So you need to stick to a system, stick to a routine, and use the power of neuroplasticity. Use the habit tricks I gave you to form this habit. It's going to be hard for the first 3 weeks. It's going to be hard, but you just stick to it and push through the first 3 hard weeks, and then it will come habitually to you. And if it still doesn't work, then come to me, I'll help you.
So you mentioned there's not any particular number of hours that suits everyone, but there are people who say they are a morning person or they're a night person. So is there a particular time in the day when people are like most efficient?
Yes, that is actually true. There's actually structural and physical changes in the brains of people that are morning people and people that are night people. There's actually even a term for them. So the morning people are called larks, lark brains. Lark is this little bird that wakes up early in the morning. And so lark brains are people who work best from 8 a.m. until noon. That is their best, most productive, most efficient time. And then there's the owl brains, of course, because of the owl. And these are people whose best work happens after 6 p.m. And because of the way our world works today, it really sucks to be an owl brain, because no matter, even if you are an owl brain and you go to sleep late, you still have to wake up and go to work at the same time as the larks. And the larks are going to be super excited and happy and chirpy in the morning and excited to do work and will be really good at it. And you're just going to feel sluggish. I'm an owl brain, so I'm very sensitive about this issue. And then you just feel like, and they're always carrying the sleep debt over days and days and months and weeks and years. And it really affects the brain badly. So while there are definite changes and there is definitely a certain time of the day that you will be more efficient based on your brain type, you can make small changes. So if you are an owl brain and you're going to sleep at 2 a.m., try to move up your sleeping time by at least 15 minutes every day. So if you generally sleep at 2 a.m., try to sleep at 1:45 a.m. the next day, then 1:30 a.m. the next day, then 1:15, and eventually try to at least go to bed before midnight. So the best time to fall asleep is between 8 p.m. and 12 a.m.
Wow.
This is because the way our sleep has several stages of sleep. There is the REM stage and there is the non-REM stage. Now the non-REM stage is the more restful, more deep sleep. And the REM stage, both stages of sleep are important, but the REM state is the more active stage. So what happens, and no matter what time you go to sleep, most of the REM sleep happens in the early hours of the morning. And the most of the restful, deep, non-REM sleep happens in the late hours of the night. So if you are going to bed at 2 a.m., you get very little of that restful sleep. And most of your other sleep is this active sleep. So you will always feel tired. Even if you sleep your full 8 hours, you are going to feel tired if you go to bed at 2 a.m. versus if you sleep 8 hours, but you go to bed at 10 p.m. It drastically will change the quality of your sleep. So even if you're an owl brain, you must try to go to sleep at least before midnight, and it makes a big difference in the quality of your sleep.
Y'all can mention in the chat box whether y'all are an owl brain or a lark brain. And yes, that's the advantage. Owl brains, y'all can change your sleeping pattern, bring it to and I'm pretty sure most of us are sleeping after 12, after watching all those web series. So the first thing that y'all will have to cut down on is the night web series time. That's pretty insightful.
I'm going to give you guys a hack. I don't know if you already know it, but there is an option, there's a feature on Netflix where you can turn off the autoplay. So go to your Netflix right now, right after this webinar. This is the first thing I want you guys to do. Go to your Netflix, go to options and turn off autoplay, which means the series won't just keep playing the next episode. You will actually have to click if you want to watch the next episode, which is a really good way to add friction.
So we've got this question often that why does so as we grow older we start forgetting things, right? You start forgetting names of people, or maybe when while cooking you forget that you put in salt or not and you put it twice. So is there what can we do about it? Like how do we?
Well, so the reason that happens is, so one thing is that our brains do shrink as we age, okay? And we start losing connections. But it doesn't have to be that way. Unless it is disease related, most of these age related decline that causes us to forget names or forget why we walked into a room, all of that is actually within your control. A lot of it happens because of loss of use. So the more the connections, if they're not used, remember that I talked about those pathways that keep getting strengthened. The more you use them, the less you use them, they keep getting weaker, and eventually they break up. So if you want to keep all your connections strong, you have got to keep stimulating your brain, and you have to keep doing new things to form new connections. So a lot of the times why this happens in older people is because they have stopped doing new things, or they have stopped doing the things they used to do, and so now their brain connections are disforming, and also the brain starts shrinking. New neurons are not being produced. And I already gave you one example of how to create new neurons is physical exercise. So there are ways you can stop this. If you keep doing physical exercise, even meditation increases the size of your hippocampus. So there are lots of ways. It is all in your control. You can stop this age-related decline with meditation, with brain training, with brain exercises, with physical exercise, with all of these things.
So I think that's the thing, right? Once we grow older, we stop learning new things. You know, we have the set schedule where we are working, and then maybe if you have free time, it's finally on the phone or watching TV. So that's the thing. I think, you know, that might really help. Can you help us with, you know, what can we do to keep our brain young?
Well, I mean, my favorite thing to do to keep your brain's neuroplasticity running and to keep your brain young and sharp is to learn something new. So learn a new hobby, pick up a new hobby. Whether it's learning a new language, you know that people that know more than one language are 25% less likely to get Alzheimer's. So there's a lot of benefits. You actually prevent your brain from future neurodegenerative diseases by doing things now. So learn something new, pick up a musical instrument. Picking up a musical instrument activates your brain in so many different ways, because there's so many different things you're doing with your different hands, and you have to using all your different senses. So it's a really great way. Or even something simple as trying out a new food. You know, a lot of the time the older people, they'll be like, oh, I've never tried Thai food, I don't want to try it. No, trying new food even will increase the connections in your brain. It's really as simple as that. Any new experiences. So that is my number one tip to keep your brain young. But there's a lot of other simple things you can do, because learning a new hobby takes time, of course, and you have to use the habit-making tips. But some simple things you can do in your daily life is a hand exercise. We can do one right now. Would you like to do it?
Yeah, all of us can try this, you know, right now with you.
Okay, so everybody can do this. You can stick your thumb out with one hand and your pinky out with the other. And now the thumb up with that other hand and pinky out with the first. Now we're going to do both together. Thumb and pinky, and thumb and pinky, and switch, 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 switch. So I don't know how easy that was for you guys, but when I first tried it, it was quite hard for me. But now it's not, because of the process of neuroplasticity. So the more you do this, you know, do this just 10 times in the morning. And how is this exercise going to help you? So the right hemisphere of your brain controls your left hand, and the left hemisphere of your brain controls your right hand. And our hands are generally used to mirroring each other's actions. But if you give each hand a different task, it really confuses your brain. And right. You're promoting a better connection between your two hemispheres by doing exercises like this. And a more connected brain means a brain better protected from future neurodegenerative diseases. Not only that, you're also gaining hand independence. So each hand is learning to do something independently of the other hand. And this can help you in real life things, like if you play the piano, or if you play sports and you need fine motor skills where each hand is, or even if you are multitasking, you're CEO of a company, you have to do 2-3 things at a time, or you're a working mom or whatever. So doing these kind of exercises lights up different areas of your brain, because it's something new you probably haven't done before. That's number one. And the second, you're promoting better connection between the two hemispheres.
That's interesting. How did you all find this? I can see comments saying that it was quite hard. Of course, in the beginning, it can be hard, isn't it, Dr. Gala?
Yes. So someone has asked you any
other games to stimulate brain and keep it healthy.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things. One thing you can do is, so, you know, a lot of times, a lot of us are engaging in our daily lives, in our professional lives, our left brain, our left logical brain, where we need to do math and we need to, you know, figure out problem solving and all these things. But often, unless you're an artist, if you are not on the creative side professionally, then we don't really end up using our right brain or creative brain that much. So one way you can activate this part of your brain is doing the alternative uses exercise. So you just pick up any object from around your house, like this pen, for example, and try to think of 10 alternative ways that you can use this object. Apart from using it for writing, what else can I do with this pen? Well, I can use it to play the drums. I can use it to scratch my back.
Maybe open a chips packet?
Yeah. So on and so forth. So you can do this every day. You can use a different object every time. You can do it as a family activity. It's a great way to stimulate the abstract thinking and creative thinking part of your brain.
That's interesting.
If you guys want to know a couple more.
Sure, why not? I'm pretty sure everyone will want to know more.
Let's see. So you can, well, this is a fun one. You can watch something, we can watch a show or a video of people talking on mute, and just imagine the conversation. So make up the conversation. If there is a mother and a son, make up a conversation, what the son is saying to the mother, what the mother is saying back, just based on the facial expressions and without knowing any context.
That's very interesting.
Exactly. So again, this is also activating the creative thinking part of your brain. It also activates the emotional intelligence part of your brain, because you're trying to understand from the facial expressions what it could mean.
I remember doing this as kids. When I was, but as we grew older, I don't think we think that this is so stupid. I mean, this is not what normal people do. But I didn't know that you can do it when you're older also. It will help your brain.
Of course. No, and actually there's a lot more we can learn from kids. Kids are an amazing example of neuroplasticity expansion. I mean, that's all that's happening in their brain, because everything they do is a new experience, and they're so open to new experiences. You know, they're not afraid. They want to try everything. And that is why they learn at such a high speed compared to adults. So we should be aiming to follow that, you know, to emulate that. There's really something to be learned over there from kids. We need to be as open to new experiences to help our neuroplasticity.
Yeah, I think that's a lot.
And to keep doing new things just like children would do, and not be afraid, and open our brains up. Even simple things like doing things with your non-dominant hand, that is something new for your brain. For a kid, writing with their dominant hand for the first time is the same as an adult you writing with a non-dominant hand. So again, you are activating a whole bunch of neural pathways that have never been activated before, and more neural connections in your brain means a sharper brain. It means your brain will stay young regardless of how old your body gets.
I think it's time to go back to childhood, unlearn and relearn things to keep your brain young. Interesting. You know, we've heard that people say that your brain works at only 10% of your capacity. I mean, is that true?
No, that is a myth. So, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, everything you think, feel, and do is controlled by your brain. Not only those things, but even the things you don't think, feel, and do is controlled by your brain. So all the autonomous functions, like your heart pumping, blood going through to your body, all the different parts, your liver functioning, all of this is happening by the brain. So the brain is doing a lot of different things at all times. If it stopped even for 1 second, you would be dead. So it's not true that the brain is only we are only using 10% of the brain. In fact, if you put somebody in an MRI machine, you will see all the different parts of the brain that light up when they do different situations. Everything is not activated at the same time, of course, but throughout the course of the day, your brain pretty much uses 100% of all its different parts. But I think the idea behind that saying is that our brains are capable of a lot more. And that is absolutely true. Our brain is capable of a lot more. We have not even touched the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there is so much. We can always improve on everything. We can keep increasing our neuroplasticity. We can keep increasing the number of neurons in our brain. We can keep increasing our capacity to learn, our capacity to memorize, our capacity to understand emotions, all of these things.
So is that what you do in your center, Evolve Brain Training? Can you tell us more about it?
So yes, in my center, I work with individuals and businesses to help them improve memory, focus, concentration, also to help them with stress management, anxiety, depression, ADHD, and I even help people and businesses with peak performance. So to help them achieve their maximum potential. And I do this using non-invasive brain training techniques, one of which is neurofeedback. Neurofeedback means feedback for the brain. So an analogy I often use is, imagine you're walking by a mirror and your hair is messed up. Now, when you look in the mirror, you get that information about your hair being messed up, so you fix it, right? So that is exactly what we do with your brain. We show the brain its own activity in real time, and when the brain sees what it's doing wrong, it can essentially self-correct and self-regulate. Because our brains and our bodies, we have a self-correcting mechanism, but only if they know what they're doing wrong. So say, for example, you want to improve your focus. So you'll come into my office, you'll be sitting in a chair, we'll attach these sensors to you, and these sensors are listening and monitoring your brain activity. And you'll be watching something on Netflix. Now, every time you are focused, the sensors will know that, and this Netflix screen will be full screen, it will be clear, and the sound will be good. But if you get distracted, bored, think other thoughts, then the screen will start getting smaller, blurrier, and the sound will get more muffled. Now, the big screen and the good sound, they're a positive reward for the brain. Brain likes it. So brain will try to do more and more of the activity that gives it that positive reward. So the brain will get more and more focused or more and more calm, whatever it is we're training your brain to do. Eventually, when you do this kind of training many, many times, because of the principle of neuroplasticity, this new way of being more focused or being more calm becomes your brain's natural new habit. And that's what we do to help people with all of these different.
That's kind of interesting. So without doing anything inside, you are just like, so you're not putting anything inside, right? There's just those.
Completely non-invasive. We are using the brain's own ability to regulate.
That's quite interesting. And what you have to do is just like watch Netflix.
All you have to do is watch Netflix. That's right. Yes.
That's pretty interesting. But this is in Dubai, right? Are you planning to have a center in Mumbai anytime?
I am planning to, yes. Would have been sooner if not for the lockdown situation, but I will. But I definitely plan on doing it sometime next year.
That's quite interesting. That was quite insightful, right? Like for the main point about neuroplasticity, to be able to cultivate a habit. That's quite interesting. Also the brain exercises, I really like them. Yeah, pretty cool. So, and as you mentioned, right, like write down. You mentioned quite a lot of times, to write down things. That's exactly that point really resonates with me because I have been doing that since I was a child, and that's how it has helped me to plan a lot of things and to be able to do everything like my studies and my work along with my hobbies. So that's where my planner revolves. It's basically a full 12-month plan, and then it's I have the idea for behind making this was to help people become more goal oriented, more productive, to have a happy mindset, because the mindset is also so important. If you're not really excited about doing something, you will not be able to do that, right? So yes, and it not only helps with your professional needs, it also takes care of your health. It helps you track the number of glasses of water you're drinking, to how much time are you putting into fitness, right? So,
yeah, I actually started using it for the first time in lockdown because I wanted to start playing the guitar, which I started doing in lockdown. I never played it before. And I used your time box planner because I wanted, so I put down the habit in writing, started playing guitar, and then I started counting the days that I am practicing. And also it helped me see myself. I give advice to my clients all the time about screen time and all of this stuff, but sometimes it's hard to look at your own actions. So having this time box and putting tabs on everything that I am doing also helped me give a sense of how I could be spending my time better. So I've really enjoyed using it during this time.
Great, I'm happy you've enjoyed. We'll just take a few questions in the last 15 minutes. Okay, I think someone's asked, could you please talk about neuroplasticity? We've already, I think, taken that point. Guilt and past always come in the way to being present. So how to do, how to be in present?
So again, writing things down. So whatever is your guilt in the past or whatever it is, just write it down. Be kind to yourself, forgive yourself. A lot of times people procrastinate things because they just feel so bad about themselves for not doing it. And the worse you feel about yourself, the more and more you're going to procrastinate it. So please be kind to yourself and, forgive yourself, and whatever is in your control, do those things. And of course, meditation helps with being in the present, because when you meditate, you are really you're strengthening the prefrontal cortex of your brain. And this is the part of the brain that is responsible for you to make rational decisions, for you to not immediately react with your animal instincts, but to take time to process the information and make emotionally smart decisions. So the more you meditate, the stronger your prefrontal cortex gets, and the better you get at living in the present and not being held by all your past or any of the our lizard brain activities.
That's true. And I think someone's asked what kind of affirmations should help us let in the present. I mean, yes, I think affirmations is a good point to be able to keep yourself in the present and to keep yourself positive and happy and in the present. That's true. Could you give us a few examples of affirmations if you can?
Affirmations, they're very personal. So whatever it is that you want to work on, if you are somebody who struggles with, and just make sure that your affirmations are in the positive sentence. They're not negative. So they should not be, I do not want to get angry. It should be like, I am calm, or I am happy. Don't use negative do nots in your affirmations. Use positive words in your affirmations.
Okay, so I think it is quite personal. So it depends on what you want to do. Someone's asked, what about dreams? Can lucid dreaming help us be more productive and cognitive?
I'm not sure how much of a relationship it has with being more productive or cognitive, but it could help you be more emotionally aware of your feelings. And if that is something that is holding you back from doing your best work, then yes, in that sense.
Okay, there's a good question. What happens when we read before sleeping?
Reading is way better than using screens. So absolutely, if that's what puts you to sleep, that is a great thing to do. But again, try to pick something positive or neutral before you go to bed. Don't read about a murder mystery or something that's going to activate your brain negatively. But there's nothing wrong with reading at night. Try to keep it as light or as neutral or as informational or positive as you can.
All right, but don't read it on your screens.
Yeah, please read an actual physical book.
Is having continuous dreams every night in any way effective for us? I mean, is it good or bad? And if not,
dreaming a lot, that means you're more in the REM state. And especially if you remember your dreams and you're dreaming every night and you're remembering all the dreams every night, that means you're probably not getting a good quality deep sleep. So you should probably look at what time you're going to sleep and see if there are any other things you can remove as like screen time and light in your room, because you should not be dreaming and having memorable dreams every single night. It means that you're probably not getting enough non-REM sleep.
All right. So dreams are not really helping you to sleep well.
To sleep, I mean, there's nothing wrong with dreams, but if you're dreaming every single night and are able to remember all your dreams, then it probably means you haven't gotten a good, restful, deep sleep.
That's true. Someone asked, is it better to read at night before sleeping? Yeah, I think that shouldn't be an issue. It's okay, but unless it is not screen reading. Are melatonin pills safe to use?
Yes, they're safe. There's nothing wrong with them.
Okay. We got.
Somebody has asked how to start your brain in the morning if one is an owl. So I'll just give you one owl. I mean, just a general morning tip, even for lark brains. So when you wake up first in the morning, don't go to your phone the first thing. Because the way our brains sleep and wake up, we go through the different brain states. So there is the delta state, which is the slowest brain wave. Then there's the theta state, which is, sometimes when you're driving down a normal route and you kind of zone out, that zone out, daydreaming state is the theta state. Then there is the alpha state, which is your relaxed awareness. So if you're just relaxing at a beach, not actively doing any work, your brain is in alpha state. And then there is the beta state, which is your alert, awake, conscious state. Right now, you and we're all in beta. Hopefully, if you all are all paying attention and not daydreaming. So that's the beta state. And that's how our brain, when we go to sleep and when we wake up, your brain goes from delta to theta to alpha to beta. Now, when you wake up and you immediately you come out of delta and you're in theta and you immediately pick up your phone and start going through emails or messages, you are straight away pushing your brain to beta. So you've lost out this amazing theta and alpha states where the brain can, these are really nice states for the brain, by the way. It's the state that is activated also when you meditate, your alpha state and your theta state. So you're completely missing out being in this alpha and theta state in the morning. So regardless of whether you're an owl brain or a lark brain, if you just spend the first half an hour in the morning without looking at your phone and let your brain come and experience all these different states, you will find that your day ends up actually being better because it's not directly going into the stressful state. It is allowing your brain to access the alpha and theta states, which actually helps you plan your day better and think positively about your day.
Yeah, someone specifically asked, can an owl person transition to a lark person?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, you will never be as good as a lark at 8 in the morning, but what you should do is that 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is your very productive, efficient time. So use that time productively. If you are, instead of spending that time watching Netflix, use that time to do something you can do. If you are a businessman, use that time to make your business strategies, to even if if your office is closed, but you can use this time for other non-office related things like planning your future, planning your days, planning your sales pitch, whatever it is. Use this time for that. If you are in any other field, then do things you can do that you cannot do in the day in your office, but use this time, since this is your more productive, efficient time. Don't let it go to waste. And of course, keep trying to pull back. I mentioned earlier, you may never be able to transition completely to the lark brain, but you can move up your sleeping time to before midnight.
Right. So try to move up your time. Try sleeping a little earlier day by day. But while you're awake, use that time. Don't waste it on watching Netflix or any other web series or continuously going on your social media. Use it to your own advantage. And because you're most active that time, or you're most efficient at that time. That makes sense. Someone's asked, if our brain has more neural pathways, then is it so that our brain will become sharper?
Yes. That's it. The more connections in your brain means a sharper brain, faster brain, a brain that's better able to grasp things, all of these things, and a brain that's better protected from future neurodegenerative diseases.
Right. How to improve your concentration span and retention power? Any tricks?
Apart from brain training at Evolve Brain Training, which we have helped lots of people with that problem. That is the main, that and anxiety are the two main things people come to us for. But apart from that, there's some exercises you can do, like there's the Stroop test, which is there will be different words of different colors, and you have to say the color of the word, not what the word is saying. So there's lots of different these tests you can find online, but also if you follow us on Evolve Brain Training at Instagram, we post regularly exercises you can do to improve memory, improve focus, all of these different things.
Can you just post your link in the chat box so that people know where to come and find you? We have a question, where can IQ level be increased?
Yes, so new neural connections and new neural pathways means a sharper brain, faster brain. And one of the things about IQ is also how many, the way they measure IQ is how fast your information processing speed is. So how many questions you can answer in the given time limit, that also affects your IQ. So if you're faster, if you process information faster, which you can do if you have more neural connections, then you're of course increasing your IQ. That's one example of how you can help change your own IQ. Right. But any new experiences, anything new that is always going to, anything that stimulates and challenges your brain is going to help you improve both IQ and EQ.
Right. So keep learning new things, try to challenge your brain, and maybe that will really help you keep your brain sharper. We also got a question. Someone's asked, what about people working night shifts? How are they going to be able to?
Yeah, so that's really tough. I mean, hopefully that person is an owl brain. But yeah, having a different shift, it really messes with your brain a lot. So, I mean, if that's what you have to do it, and you just got to manage with your situation.
Someone's asked, is 4 a.m. the best time to wake up?
Depends on your brain type. So if 4 a.m. is the best time for you to wake up, then you should wake up at 4 a.m. If 4 a.m. you are completely useless and not doing anything productive with your time, then it is not a good time for you to wake up.
So people think that, there is this myth, people have these things that, okay, if you wake up at 4 a.m., you're going to be healthy, or you're going to be it's a correct time to wake up for everyone. So that's not the case. It depends on person to person. If your body type or your brain type is, okay with waking up at 4 a.m. and you're going to be as fresh and active, then that's pretty good. Right?
Absolutely. There is no perfect fixed number for everybody. No fixed number of sleep, no fixed time to wake up, no fixed time to go to sleep. No fixed time for anything. Everybody doesn't have to eat the same. We all cannot eat the same number of calories. Similarly, we all cannot sleep the same number of hours. All our brains are different, all our bodies are different. And it's really important to identify what works for you best and what makes you be your best self. Rather than comparing ourselves to other people's lives and other people's lifestyles and how they do it. Figure out what works for you.
Someone's asked, some people have a habit of morning tea, how to get rid of it? I think it's pretty much the habit thing that you mentioned.
Throw out all of the tea in your house. No, but just add friction, and keep yourself accountable. So have your husband or whoever else and tell them to be accountable for you. Tell them that you are planning to do this for 1 month. You don't want to drink tea in the morning. Ask for his assistance and help. And then if you do drink, you are accountable for it. You have to tell him that, oh, I drank. So that it adds another layer of friction, like you don't want to embarrass yourself saying that you couldn't stick to your habit. So try all these different ways to help the habit.
It's also because you get a headache if you don't drink and all that, but I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of a few days. Once your brain is used to it,
Absolutely.
it happen again, right? Does yoga and meditation work the same way for everyone?
No, so the benefits are kind of the same, but how much you need to do for you to get the best benefit out of it is different. And also for some people, it's very easy for them to meditate. For some people, it's not that easy to meditate. So for the people it is not easy to meditate, yes, you're going to take a little longer to get there. But once you do get there, you will also experience the same benefits. And in fact, one of the things we do at Evolve Brain Training, we also help you meditate better. So after they have done our training, they end up telling us that they now find it easier to meditate, because we basically help calm the brain down, so it is better able to not have thoughts and be present in the moment for longer periods of time without getting distracted or getting bored.
That's true. Why why don't we get sleep for 30 minutes when we go to bed? That actually also depends on what is their lifestyle in the night. Could you help? I mean, if it's
yeah, some people can fall asleep as soon as they hit the bed. So if it takes you 30 minutes, then that's specific to you. And again, the things that will help you are go to bed when you are really tired. Like go to bed when you are really going to go to sleep. Don't, keep your bed sacred. So don't use it to watch TV. Don't use it to do your work. Don't use it for anything other than sleeping and being with your partner. So try to, so your brain knows that when you get in bed, it is time to go to sleep. Your brain doesn't associate the bed with any other activities. So that is one way you can help improve your sleeping time. And the other is, of course, staying away from the screens, like I mentioned, and all the other things. So be calm your brain down at the end of the day, write a gratitude list at the end of the day. So just start any kind of ritual that triggers to your brain that, oh, okay, now it's time to sleep. So have your own sleep ritual, whether it is taking a warm shower, getting into your pajamas, drinking milk, whatever. Start your routine. So next time, as soon as you start that routine, your brain is like, oh, okay, this person is getting ready to go to sleep. Now we have to go to sleep. So have whatever the routine, make your own routine, and then stick to it every single day until it becomes habit.
That's true. So have those triggers for your brain to sleep in the night. And then once you start doing it, after a few days, the brain will automatically know that it's time to sleep. And it will not take as long as it used to take in the beginning, right? Okay, someone's asked, are power naps good?
Yes, if they're good for you, they are good then. So again, it's different for everybody. But if power naps work for you and really refreshes you, having a 15-minute nap, and you are really good for the rest of the day, then that is working for you. Then you should do it. And originally, the way we evolved as creatures, we were not meant to sleep the whole night through. So this is something that a lot of us don't know, but we were meant to sleep for a few hours at night. Then we wake up in the morning, go do something, because, we were also under threat. You cannot just be asleep for 8 hours. Someone could, a lion could come and steal your kid, or the the other pack could come and take your resources. So our brains were not designed to sleep the whole night through. They were designed to have short sleeps, including power naps during the day. However, because of the way the world works now, we obviously cannot follow that same routine as our ancestors did. But if you have the opportunity and the ability to take power naps, and that really energizes you for the rest of the day, that's amazing. You should do it.
That's great. Someone's asked how to manage the teenage son's anger. Teenagers these days.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but yelling at them more is obviously not going to help. So open communication, and you, first of all, see, children always emulate their parents. So create an environment where they, first of all, feel safe, where they don't think that anger is the only way they can talk to you, and also be a good role model. So children often end up doing what their parents are doing. So if other adults in your house are yelling at each other or being angry, of course it's going to be passed on. So first, identify your own weaknesses and see if there's anything else you can change in your own behavior before you go talk to the kid.
Okay, so yes, try to maintain a good environment in the house. Uh, See to it that you are not setting an example of being angry or being overreactive or anything. And I think that can actually have a good impact on your kids. There's another question asking, how can we use time box planner for effective efficient brain? Some short tips. The best part about the planner is that it holds you accountable for yourself. So it helps you track your own progress or your own time spent on different things. So if you for example you have a social media tracker in that, and if you are marking how much time are you spending on social media every day, if you see that, okay, I'm spending 2 hours, once you see that number out there, you'll be like, okay, I can reduce this time, put my time into something else, more constructive. So it has all these different trackers, including a fitness tracker and a habit tracker. As Dr. Gala mentioned, to cultivate a new habit. So it helps you track and progress, towards cultivating a new habit. So there are a lot of features on that. Also, people think that planning is quite boring, and you don't feel like doing. But I've made it in such a way that it's very interesting. So you put like fun stickers where it's quite creative, it's quite motivating. So yes, I'll just put in my links so that you all can maybe access or DM us there, and then we can get back to you. Getting back to questions. Okay, what to do when we don't like things which we have to do out of compulsion?
Think about why are you doing that. There must be some reason you're doing it out of compulsion, right? Whether it's to keep your spouse happy or whatever else it is that your compulsion is, and that if you don't do it, what the consequences are. So that can help you put things into perspective. I'm sure it's something small you don't like doing for the short term, but you're probably doing it for some long-term benefits. So sometimes our brain finds it difficult to think of the long-term benefits. So I don't know what your particular situation is, but if thinking of the long-term benefits can help you, you can write those down as a reminder for your brain why you're doing this that you don't like, and maybe try to add in something you like while you do it. So if you have to do it, maybe do it every time you do it, reward yourself, or do it while listening to your favorite song or something that makes the experience a little more enjoyable.
Right. So use the trigger point. So I think this is like the main thing, right? Like for doing anything or to develop any new habit or to, I think the neuroplasticity is helping with in many ways. So I think these 3 points are very important to remember. One, friction. So see to it that you are not accessible to something that you don't want to do, and see to it that things are accessible when you want to do something. Uh, Trigger, have something, associate something good with something that you don't feel like doing, so that you keep doing it and get into the habit. And the third thing is reward yourself when you're doing something nice. I think also if you're not following it, you can maybe punish yourself in a very minor way. Thing that can also help.
Negative punishment doesn't, positive enforcement always works much better than negative enforcement. So stick to rewards.
Correct.
And be kind to yourself if you cannot do it. Don't punish yourself.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Okay, what if one wants to get trained in providing neurofeedback therapy in India? I mean, that we can take it, after the session, you can contact Dr. Gala for that. During exams, students have to wake whole night to study. Does it have any effect on the exam?
Yes, they are not going to remember these long term. If you are staying up because you need to have good sleep for anything to turn, any experience or memory to turn into a long term memory, you need to have good sleep. So all of these people that are doing all nighters, they are not going to remember the answers even the next week. They will remember it for the exam the next day, but they're not going to remember it the next week. So it is a terrible idea to stay up all night. Rather, I would recommend that they plan better. So they finish all of their studying beforehand, get a good night's sleep before the exam, so they can show their best work during the exam.
That's great. I think that was pretty insightful. We have a few questions. Maybe you all can, post them on separately on the Dr. Gala's website or the Insta or Facebook links. Thank you so much. It's time up, so we'll have to wrap this up. Your insightful tips, tricks, hacks, all of them are very good. I think all of us are going to try to practice all of these things, these small exercises that you mentioned. The object thing, I just pick up any object and think about 10 different other ways on how you can use them. yeah, so I think we've got like a pretty much lot of things to now to do to keep our brain young and sharper. Do join us for our next webinar, which will happen the next weekend, and we'll keep you updated. Stay tuned and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Lots of good questions. I really enjoyed it. And thank you, Riddhi.
They were great questions. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.